ABC News has obtained records of Venmo payments Gaetz allegedly made to two women who provided the records to the committee. The documents show between 2017 and 2019, then Congressman Gaetz allegedly made 27 payments to the women, totaling more than $10,000. Under the reason for the payment, Gaetz allegedly wrote notes including gift and just because. Under another payment for $400 in 2018 was flight plus extra for you. The Ethics Committee also obtained this signed check for $750 made out to cash, the memo reading tuition reimbursement. The two women testified some of the payments were for sex.
They essentially put the Venmo payments on the screen and asked about them, and my clients repeatedly testified, what was this payment for? Well, that was for sex, yes.
One woman also told the committee she allegedly saw Gaetz having sex with her 17-year-old friend. The Justice Department separately investigated sex trafficking allegations against Gaetz without bringing charges. Gaetz has denied all wrongdoing. Trump is standing by him.
Mr. President, are you reconsidering the nomination of Matt Gaetz?
No. It's a new day, which means there are even more potentially damning details coming out about Attorney General nominee Matt Gaetz, which show why some Republicans are hell-bent on keeping the report away from senators tasked with confirming him.
Just to give everyone a sense of how constant and embedded this was, according to what your clients say, you mentioned last night a trip to New York in January of 2019 that you say Gaetz took your clients on. They say that they were there. He paid them to travel with him. He paid them to have sex with them on that trip. So first, though, apparently, they say he took them to Fox News and that they were basically set like this, but they're offset, waiting for him to do his interview. And let me just play a clip from that particular interview. So Gaetz is going to New York. He does this interview, in part says this.
I know the president likes to call her Pocahontas, but now that she's making her way from the eastern seaboard into the center of the country, maybe Sacagawea would be more appropriate. But instead of bringing Lewis and Clark, she's bringing the most liberal policies of the Democratic Party.
Okay, so that was their show Outnumbered. And then after that, he leaves the interview with your clients. And then what happens?
Yeah, so they went to the show Pretty Woman, and I believe that my clients went to an EDM show later on that night.
And an EDM show, what's that?
An electronic dance music.
Okay.
They had a show that they wanted to see that night. And the House was, the reason why it came up actually, the House was asking my clients if they ever felt pressured by Representative Gaetz. And they indicated, at least one of my clients testified to the House that there was a time that they felt that they needed to please Representative Gaetz before going out and going to the show.
Okay, I understand what you're saying in that. I'm not going to ask you to get more graphic than that.
They alleged that he would sometimes travel with them to news appearances or events with the promise of payment for their company. It seems almost too blatant to be true, but we've already heard stories from Republicans Mark Wayne Mullen and Tony Gonzalez about his blatant brag sessions about his actions. Even outspoken Democrat Steve Cohen was less reluctant to fully share all that he witnessed from Gaetz.
Congressman, some former or current members of the House, Mark Wayne Mullen sticks out in my mind as now a senator. They have talked about personally experiencing Matt Gaetz bragging about some of the behavior that may be detailed in this report. Do you have personal experience? Have you seen Matt Gaetz brag about having sex, about other things that show up here?
He made some statements to me when he was a freshman that I found just kind of amazing and shocking, and I just had to look forward. We were in the committee room, and I guess he thought he was a young guy and he was getting started, and I sponsored decriminalization of marijuana laws, and he came up and he said something. I just thought, oh my God, I can't believe he's saying that to me.
Saying
but it's consistent with what he's.
What did he say?
I'm not going to go into it, but it's consistent with what he's been charged with.
Can you give us a little bit more detail? What did it relate to? I mean, come on.
I can actually see why the defense coming from Trump is little or nothing, considering the American people accepted his assault and adjudicated rape ruling, along with his 34 felony convictions in electing him this year. They all know what they've witnessed and what they've told reporters that they know years before he got this nomination. You know, it's so blatant, it makes you wonder if Gaetz is the choice partially to test Republican loyalty to rubber stamp anything that Trump wants.
CNN senior data reporter Harry Enton is here now. Harry, what do the betting markets think about the chances for Matt Gaetz?
There is just one word when it comes to Matt Gaetz's chances in the betting markets, and it is yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Chance Matt Gaetz becomes Trump's AG. Look at this. 37% say yes. The majority, 63%, say no. And I should note, I looked up every other one of Trump's choices to be in his cabinet. This is the only one in which less than a majority say yes. The bottom line is the conventional wisdom suggests that Matt Gaetz's chance to be Trump's attorney general are in big, big trouble.
One thing I know from social media the last few weeks is the betting markets apparently know everything. That they know more than political scientists, than political consultants. The betting markets are always right, according to social media.
The betting markets aren't always right, though I should point out they did nail that Trump was going to win the election a few weeks ago. And when you have stuff like this in which you don't necessarily have polling, I think they're a good gauge of the conventional wisdom. And at this point, the gauge of conventional wisdom is that Gaetz's nomination is in big trouble.
Outside of the fact that odds makers are the gauge for whether or not Gaetz will take over the Justice Department, turning this serious appointment into a lighthearted discussion that normalizes these kinds of picks, Republican senators are already being pressured to get on board or be an outcast of the party. You know, Lindsey Graham has gone from indifferent to a Gaetz defender after he was called out for not being MAGA enough at the beginning.
Action to Matt Gaetz as AG.
Yeah, I don't know yet. I think about that one.
Do you have any concerns about it?
We'll see. He won the election. He deserves a chance to pick his cabinet. I am predisposed to allow him to do that. I think Matt Gaetz is very bright. I think he's qualified. He'll have a hearing, and he'll have some tough questions to answer. But to every Republican, please follow a process to give President Trump the ability to pick the people he thinks can do the job and give Matt a chance to prove himself.
And you have a history of that.
Given these serious allegations involving sexual misconduct with Matt Gaetz, including sex with someone who's underage, is he qualified to be Attorney General?
Nobody should be disqualified because of a media report.
It's more than it's an investigation. Bipartisan ethics investigation.
And they didn't proceed forward.
He took the warnings even further Wednesday. I'm committed to allowing the process to go forward in a manner consistent with past practices and fundamental fairness. This process will not be a rubber stamp, nor will it be driven by a lynch mob. My record is clear. I tend to defer to presidential cabinet choices unless the evidence suggests disqualification. I fear the process surrounding the Gaetz nomination is turning into an angry mob, and unverified allegations are being treated as if they're true. I've seen this movie before. I would urge all of my Senate colleagues, particularly Republicans, not to join the lynch mob and give the process a chance to move forward. After years of being investigated by the Department of Justice, no charges were brought against Matt Gaetz. This is something we should all remember. These guys keep trying to recreate history and act like opposing parties don't always pounce on a president's cabinet picks. But the fact that Lindsey has to specifically warn Republicans not to might mean these accusations aren't being dismissed as angry libs trying to hurt Gaetz the way that they usually do. They'll either trust what they know or ignore it and come up with excuses why. Or they'll just be a yes man like Tommy Tuberville.
Well, first of all, no matter who President Trump picks, the media are going to hammer him every day. You know, we've all been around pretty long, Larry. It doesn't make any difference. If you're a Republican, you got to fight your way through all this. If you remember Clarence Thomas and Brett Kavanaugh, we're going to look at facts, not rumors. There's more rumors up there going around about Matt Gaetz and Pete Hegseth, and even all of them will have some kind of rumor when it comes down to it. But we've got to look at facts. But we've got to help President Trump. He's not going to pick somebody that's a criminal. He's not going to do that. He's going to vet everybody, and he's done that. I'm looking forward to working with all of them. I'm looking forward to backing all of them as long as the facts are there.